Hello everyone, my name's Lachlan and I'm here to talk to you about the Mindf series by St. Abbey. That is a pen name and I'm just going to say Mindf for the video so that I don't have to worry about YouTube disliking this video. So this video will be spoiler free and I'm just going to generally talk about my opinion about the series. And yeah, so if you're interested to hear my thoughts, then keep watching. So for starters, major trigger warnings for this book, like the contents of this book. It's very heavy, it's very dark, it's very like, I wouldn't say gruesome, but it's very descriptive and it's like intense at times. There are like amputations and
body parts that get cut off and things like that. Like, it's very
not necessarily gory, but it's just descriptive, and just the content in general is a major trigger warning because she is a survivor of, you know, like a horrific crime that was done against her. So yeah, and the whole revenge plot is like about that. And if you can't tell from the cover of the book, it resembles Twilight for a reason. It's kind of like a fan fiction for the story of Rosalie, which if you don't know, you can go look into that because yeah, Rosalie's story, like her history with her ex-fiance and a bunch of his friends and what they did to her was absolutely horrible. And this book is very much similar. Like the things that happened to Lena is pretty much that. So the author was definitely like, it was intentional the way that she did it. The apple also comes into play in the actual like content of the book. So it's not just like trying to be like Twilight, but it makes sense once you read it, why there's an actual apple on the cover. But yeah, it is like a fan fiction for the story of Rosalie. And I just thought that it was just so freaking cool. This series is on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited,
stop what you're doing and go read it.
It is a serial killer romance. Our main female character is Lena, and she has been through some things, and the whole book is about her getting her revenge on the people that wronged her. And I love a good revenge plot, and y'all, this book, well, I keep calling it a book, but it's actually a series. It's 5 books, and this is the whole series in one book. But yeah, so the whole series is just her getting her revenge, but she doesn't do it alone. She has her best friend named Jake who helps her along the way. And then there's some like romance. So we also follow Logan, who is the love interest. But it's interesting because Logan is a profiler, like for the FBI.
Yeah, that's what we're working with here.
So she's a serial killer that like falls in love with a profiler. And, you know, vice versa, he falls in love with her. And then Jake's character is so freaking good as well. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Spencer from Criminal Minds. So if you like Criminal Minds,
this is the series for you, like I'm telling you.
The Criminal Minds vibes, like, couldn't be more perfect. I wasn't even really reading the series for the romance. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the first book, I wasn't completely sold until the end of the book. And then there's like this cliffhanger, but it's not like an annoying cliffhanger because obviously the series is complete, so you just can jump right into the next book. But that cliffhanger was so good. As soon as I started reading the last chapter, I was like,
okay.
Like, I see what people are talking about now. Like, I understand the hype, I guess. I was just on the edge of my freaking seat. Like, it was just getting so good. So I immediately started reading the next book. I essentially read this like as one book. I treated it like it was one book.
And I didn't stop reading it.
I was reading this straight through because I just needed to know like how this all ended. And oh my
freaking God, you guys.
Look, the writing is not perfect. It's absolutely not that great. Sometimes it was very cringy and cheesy. I would find sentences that I was like, oh, that's so like such a cheesy way to say that, but at the same time I could not put this crap down. Oh my god, I'm so sorry to everyone who has been telling me to read this series and I haven't. I apologize.
I formally apologize to you
for taking forever to freaking read this book. Not only was I like on the edge of my seat the whole time, I was very invested. I wasn't as invested in the romance, like I said, The romance just like wasn't my favorite. Like I didn't really care about Logan until probably like the third or fourth book. Then I really started to like him a little bit more. Okay, literally happens every time my camera freaking dies. I was talking about Logan. The reason why I wasn't as invested in the romance is because I was rooting for Lena the whole time. Like I just wanted her to get revenge on everybody and get away with it and like be a badass, and I just wanted that for her. And so it was like Logan wasn't working for her. Obviously he was working against her because he was trying to catch her. Like he was literally working on the case to catch her, the serial killer that he didn't know who was, obviously. And so I just like, I don't know, I was like, ugh, I don't like him, obviously, because he's like wanting to catch our girl, but like not in a good way. He wants to like put her away. So I think it was around the third or the fourth book that I started to be like, okay, I like him a little bit more. I love Jake the entire time. One of my favorite freaking characters. That, oh my god, the ending of this series was just
so perfect.
I was scared that it wasn't gonna have a happily ever after, and it does. So if you're, I don't like to read books that don't have happily ever afters, so yeah, I I hadn't even thought about it whenever I picked this up. I was like,
shit, I probably should have checked into that because I really was like concerned there for a hot minute.
I definitely didn't have plans to read this like in March, but for whatever reason, like I picked up the first one, I read it all on my Kindle, and I could not stop reading it. Like it was just, there's like crack in this book. The sad thing is, like really, really sad, is that the author died in a car accident last year. It's just sad because like she was obviously an amazing writer. Now, is the series perfect? No, but like to me it was perfect. I cannot rave enough about the series. Like please go read it. It's not that, it's dark, but it's not that dark. Like it's only dark because obviously the trigger warnings, but it's also dark because like the things that happen. She's a serial killer. But as far as like a dark romance, the romance itself is not dark. The romance itself is actually very, very light and healthy and heartwarming. So it's just everything else that surrounds that is the darker part. This is going to be an all-time favorite for the year. Like I can already tell. I'm just so glad that I read it. Now each individual book is probably not 5 out of 5 stars. I think the fourth and the fifth book, there were parts that kind of dragged for me. Just because like the setting in those books are different. Like the vibes are a little bit different than the previous books because of like where they're at and what they're doing. I wasn't like in love with the setting. So that kind of, I didn't read book 4 and 5 as fast as I read book 1, 2, and 3. But oh my god, this was just like so addicting. The ending was beautiful. I could not have asked for a better ending. Like my favorite epilogue I've ever read, hands down. Like it was that good. I was so happy with how it ended. I just feel so happy with it. The writing is not mind-blowing, but it's like the plot and then the characters and then just like the way that she was able to really make me feel like I was reading like a Criminal Minds episode the whole time. It was just like so good. At the end of each book I was literally screaming because of those cliffhangers. Oh my god. And then I would immediately download the next book and read it. So if you made it this far in the video, you can leave an apple and a knife emoji. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you plan on reading this series, or if you have read it, let me know, because like I'm just like so obsessed. Even if you don't like romance, you could really enjoy this because I feel like it's not heavily on the romance. It's like very plot heavy, and oh my god, it's so good.
Please go read it.
So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget you can always find me at Locks Library on TikTok, Instagram, and Goodreads, and I will see you guys later in my next video.